Hello, welcome to Dungeon Dwellers Podcast. I'm your host Justin. Today is our first Mecha series review where we're reviewing the Super Robot Show Dino Mech Gaiking, which aired on TV from 1976 to 1977. The creators for the show are Kunio Nakatani, Akio Sugunu, Dan Kobayashi. You have character designs by Takashi. Did I write that right? Oh, Shirado. Music by Shunsuke Kikuchi. So, Dino Mech Gaiking is, like I mentioned, a super robot show. It had like 44 episodes. The story is basically you have this race of aliens called the Zelons, whose planet is getting sucked into a black hole. But because they're a peaceful race, even though later on there are episodes that contradict this, despite them being a peaceful race, they decide to create this artificial intelligence android called Darius, who creates four androids that serve under him, called the four generals. I forget each of their names, to be honest. Oh wait, it's right. I think I have it here. There's General Desmond, General Asimov, General Killer, and Dr. Danko. Oh yeah, one of them was called Danko, but like I didn't know he was supposed to be a doctor. Yeah, and they decide to militarize the Zelons. They go around rounding up people from the population, brainwashing them into soldiers. Two kinds of soldiers: the Death Cross Knights and the Black Avions. The Black Avions kind of look like the Hawkmen from Flash Gordon, and their plan to Darius names himself Emperor of Zalon and plans on conquering the galaxy, right? But first he's going to conquer Earth and move the Zelon population there. So our first two episodes, which is a two-parter, they introduced us to a character named Senshura Buki, who's voice acted by Akira Kamiya. I'll get into who voice acts who, like, at the end of the review. Yeah, who's like a baseball player, who's a second stringer, who's close to becoming a first stringer. He's part of the team, the baseball team, Red Suns, who's getting famous because he has this special pitch that he does called the miracle pitch, where he throws a ball and it looks like it disappears for a second. As the batter is about to hit it with the baseball, it disappears and it'll land into like the umpire's glove or whatever it's called, right? I'm not a baseball guy. I'm more of a soccer guy. Yeah, so like, yeah, he gets famous for his miracle pitch. He gets a call from Dr. Daimonji, voice acted by Hidekatsu Shibata, that the Black Horror Army is out to get him, right? Black Horror Army is what the Zelons called their army, right? He ignores them, goes to play another game, and then like he goes to throw balls, and like they keep disappearing, and then like somebody, an assassin, starts shooting balls at him and breaks his wrist. After he goes to see the doctor, he's told like he'll never play baseball again with that wrist, right? Which, you know, he eventually does go back to play baseball, but he's not as good, so he eventually quits and continues working on how do you pronounce the Doki Maru? Sorry. Yeah, he gets introduced to the team. They tell him that it was the Black Core army that destroyed his wrist, that are trying to kill him. They sorry, just give me a second to yeah, sorry about that. It's been a week since I watched the show. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, they tell him the the Black Horde army's alien army that's trying to invade and destroy humanity, to colonize the Earth. He thinks they're full of BS. They also tell him he's a psychic, and that's how he's able to do his miracle pitch. And the crew of the Doki Maru, which is a giant dinosaur mech, which houses 4 mechs: the Geiking, which will be piloted by Senshiro, Nessar, which is robot that looks like the Loch Ness monster, is piloted by Bonta, who's a diver, voice acted by Kenichi Ogata. You got the Bizauser, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, which is like a Triceratops mech. That's the support vehicle for ground attacks. The Nessar is a support vehicle for sea attacks. The Bizauser's piloted by Yamagate, voice acted by Isamu Kato, who's like a sumo wrestler. And you have the last one, Skylar, which looks like a what's it called? Fuck, I can't remember. I'll show you an image. It's the flying dinosaur, alright? Piloted by Fan Lee, who's a Hong Kong kickboxer, right? Senshiro doesn't believe them, leaves, and almost gets killed by the Black Horde army again, but throws a rock at a vehicle that's trying to run him over, and the vehicle explodes because his psychic powers allowed him to create plasma energy out of nowhere, right? So eventually he joins the crew of the Doki Maru, pilots Geiking. Geiking is a super robot with has a dinosaur face for his main torso, which is part of the head of the Doki Maru, which will launch out and combine with the arms and legs of Geiking to combine to make the Dino Mech Gaiking. Yes, there's docking in this series. I hate docking in Mecha series, but what can you do? It's the thing where I think they were trying to pop I don't know which super robot show made docking popular, but I think it was Get a Robo, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, they're trying to capitalize on the popularity of Get a Robo and other mecha series like Mazinger, because there was a lot of criticism that Dino Mech Gaiking looks design wise looks a lot like Mazinger, especially the grill mouth, which halfway through the series Geiking gets an upgrade where they replace his face and makes it all smooth, because it'll open up and he'll have like a missile launcher where his mouth, his face is, and he'll breathe fire. And depending on what they feel like if they feel like calling it the breath fire, and there's episodes where they call it the death fire. Right? Yeah, he has the Geiking's special attacks are basically rocket punches called counter punch. He has these red stars on his legs that he can take out and use as either as a bladed weapon or as a throwing weapon. He has the Hydro Blazer and the SAR Geyser, which one's like an energy beam attack, and the other one shoots a fireball, which combined with he's able to use his miracle pitch with the fireball, so he can control which direction the fireball goes, and he uses that not a lot in this series, but he uses it to great effect. He even uses it during the final battle. So like a lot of the episodes in this series are like character episodes where they'll focus on the main certain characters in the series. Like there's a lot of episodes where they focus on Fan Lee, the kickboxer, Sakon, who I forgot to mention, who is the engineer on the Doki Maru, who's supposed to have 340 IQ. You have the helmsman, who is Pete Richardson, voice acted by Makio Inouye, who's the American helmsman who gets in lots of arguments with Geiking's pilot Sanshiro. Eventually, they do like near the third the third of the series, near the end. There is an episode where they do make up and become friends, but it comes off like really gay. I'm not gonna be honest. Yeah, like there's a lot of comedy episodes with Hashiro, who's like the kid who's a member of the Doki Maru. Why he's a member of the crew, they never tell you. Like I'm not even joking. They never say if he's like related to Dr. Daimonji, who's the leader of the Doki Maru, who's the lead scientist. They never mention that, but like they do mention like Midori Fujiyama, voice acted by Mami Koyama, is like his adopted daughter, who you find out is an alien from Planet Pigeon, who's the communications officer on the Doki Maru. Yeah, and like she's the only one besides from Sanshiro who kind of has psychic powers. That's the thing. In the beginning of the series, they tell you, hey, that every like all the members, or at least the main crew of the Doki Maru, because you have like faceless guys in blues that you don't know who they are. I shouldn't say they're faceless. They have faces. I meant to say nameless. Yeah. She's the only one that has like psychic powers besides from Sanjiro. Yeah. So that's the main crew. The bad guys, they don't really have personality. Well, except for, you know, I would say like General Killer's the fat, like, you know, dumb one. And you have one of the guys, well, two of the generals, sorry, kind of look alike. One of them straight up looks like, face-wise, straight up looks like Devilman from Go Nagai's series, but like the 70s version, not the newer one, obviously. Yeah, so I'm just gonna go to the pros and cons of the series. So I don't know, I like the mecha design for Geiking. I think it's a cool mech design. That's one of the positives. You have lots of death and destruction. Even to the point where they'll show people getting killed, and like when the cities are under attack by giant robots called black monsters. Usually they'll look like either like famous Japanese statues, like monster, like animal, like, you know, themed monsters. There's even an episode where they fight like this space cloud, this cloud from space, which like devours people, kind of like the blob monster from if you ever seen the blob, right? Which that was a great episode. You got likable characters, great use of strategy and tactics, because there are episodes where the bad guys will realize, okay, we can't beat like the Geiking and the Doki Maru in a straight fight. We have to come up with you know, sneaky way to either sneaky way to destroy them. So sometimes they'll infiltrate the Doki Maru, or they'll come up with like plans to lure it away and attack everybody. There's even an episode where there's this space mercenary called Wilder who pilots this giant mech called the Blood Buffalo that goes around destroying planets. Where they hire him to fight the Geiking, and that was a great episode. There's even episodes where it feels like very Star Trek-esque, where they have to deal with like phenomenon, where they'll get sucked, like they get sucked into this ether stream in like a space graveyard, and they have to come up with a plan to get out of there, which they come up with a special move for the Doki Maru called the Screw Escape, which very much remind me of the Screw Attack from the Screw Attack is either from Sonic or Mega Man, I can't remember which. You have an episode that, well, there's actually 2 episodes where they kind of rip off Fists of Fury. One with Fan Lee, and then another with Yamagate. I have a hard time pronouncing his name. Sorry, the sumo guy. There's a really cool Cold War episode, which when I watched that episode, it was like right after I rewatched the Hunt for Red October. So like that Cold War episode was awesome because it was like the bad guys do false flag attacks on both the Soviet Union and the U.S. Navy to trick each side into thinking the other one attacked their fleets, so to try to gold them into like a nuclear war. So that was a great episode. You also have a Jaws episode, which on my DVD for that one was scratched. So if you're ever sometimes when I order Discotek TV shows, the DVDs will come scratch, which sucks because like these, especially I'll order these through a store, so they're more expensive that way. And so if you're gonna get Discotek stuff, only get the Blu-rays because their DVDs, even though the cases look great and the way they have the DVDs look like they wouldn't scratch, I've had problems. Well, they'll get scratched, and it's like, well, I can't afford like to pay another $70 to $100 for another box set. So like, yeah, I've had trouble with that shit. Yeah, the Jaws episode was great. That's the only episode really where Bunta shines, and that's one of my cons where like Bunta doesn't really have episodes to shine. And then that episode, like the Black Horror Army are like have their soldiers pilot these like killer shark mechs, but like, and like there's like they're going around killing people in the ocean, and like Sanshiro and Bunta go to investigate, and you see like you have this really cool fight scene where Bunta basically kills like half a dozen sharks in like while protecting Sanshiro. It's a pretty awesome that was a pretty awesome episode. And there's a lot of great episodes that I put here because I didn't have a lot of space. So like throughout the series, they'll get new weapons that are pretty cool. P and Sanshiro finally make up. That was a great episode because after that episode, they don't fight anymore after that. So they actually kept up with the continuity, which was great. Geiking gets a new look halfway through the series. I already mentioned that. And you have a great finale. The finale was actually great. It was like a 2-parter. It's Zella, the planet where the Zellans are from, is a few hours away from being sucked into a black hole, and like Emperor Darius is commanding people to like everybody get into ships. We're going to migrate into Earth and then we're going to conquer it, right? So the Zelans are like, this is bullshit. You should have negotiated with Earth first before started attacking them. Because now we'll be at a disadvantage when we start to migrate there, and they'll start attacking us, right? So like, after getting into an argument with the civilians, Emperor Darius says, "Fuck it, everybody, let's go," and they abandon the civilians to die. So like, the one admirable trait of Emperor Darius was like, you know, he was proud to be a Zealon. Like, there's lots of episodes where he talks about like our superior Zealon technology, science, blah blah blah, and culture, and like all of that is forgotten, and he just abandons the civilians. So what ends up happening is after they leave, the guy he was arguing with turns out to be a scientist. Shows everybody his new robot, which creates a barrier around the underground city of Zila, because like apparently the population lives in an underground city because the surface of the planet was destroyed by the black hole, right? So he creates this domed city, which just just floats in space after the planet Zella gets destroyed. So after that, they do this fake out where they make us think that Emperor Darius is created this fortress on Mars, right? And he sends, like, you know, he makes it look like they're launching black monsters, which in the when you hear them talk in Japanese, they say Aku Kaijin. Aku means evil, so it's like they're really saying evil monster. But you know, I guess they thought it would. The people who were translating the series thought it would be like redundant. So like, yeah, they're launching black monsters to attack Earth. The crew of the Doki Maru splits up to attack the different monsters. After they defeat the monsters, well, actually they just like, some of them just fight them enough so the monsters retreat, which they show up later in the finale. One was like a crab monster, one was like a dragon monster. But the Doki Maru defeated the mantis monster. So after they finished fighting the monsters, the Doki Maru decides to go to Mars and defeat the fortress by itself, which the episode is called. Let me just double check the episode, because it has like a cool name. The Illusionary Mars Castle. All right, so they go to the Doki Maru goes to space to fight the Mars Castle, but leaves the Geiking, Nesser, Skylar, and Basilar on Earth. Right? What ends up happening is that they, instead of using their missiles or, like, you know, their ranged weapons, the Doki Maru just decides to just like, we'll attack the castle with the giant cutter, which is like this like axe blade that pops out from the bottom of the Doki Maru. They go to slash the castle. Turns out the castle was a projection, and they get this domed bubble around them, and they're stuck in a capsule. Geiking goes to investigate what happened to the Doki Maru. At the same time, you find out that Emperor Darius and his generals are actually were on Earth the entire time, and like, you know, they're before, like, before they go to space, like, you know, Emperor Darius sends a transmission revealing himself, telling Dr. Baidolenji to come to Mars, and like tells him, hey, by the way, I'm closer than you think, right? Which they thought he meant Mars, because, you know, Zella, at this point they don't know Zella was destroyed, and Zella is like millions of light years away, right? So it turns out he was actually in Mount Fuji, and he sends this battalion of hover tanks to go and destroy the city beneath Mount Fuji, and the SDF sends out a tank battalion to fight the Black Army's tanks. And you get this really cool tank battle. When they start to lose, they call for the Doki Maru to show up, and the Doki Maru's not on Earth, obviously. So Nestor, Basilar, and Skylar go to help, and eventually, you know, Geiking rescues the Doki Maru. They come back. They all fight the remaining Black Horror Army, the remaining monsters. Which, you know, whenever like whenever the show is gonna have like a quick fight scene that's gonna end really quickly, they'll play the theme song. So that's how you know it's a short fight. So yeah, the Geiking shows up, they defeat the monsters. The only people left are the 4 generals and Emperor Darius, who are all pretty big robots, but they're not exactly giant robots. Except for like Emperor Darius, who you find out is the size of like the same size as Geiking, right? So they our remaining foes just take out swords, and Darius decides to fight Geiking while the generals go and fight the Doki Maru. Eventually, though, it's a pretty one-sided fight. They all get wiped out, except for Emperor Darius, where they attack. Geiking burns him alive with the Death Fire, and then it's revealed to our main characters that Emperor Darius was a robot the entire time. He goes for a while. He goes beast mode and beats the shit out of everybody till they see the very obvious weakness on his head, and then like the Geiking does one last miracle pitch Hydro Blazer and blows up the head of Emperor Darius, and the show ends with Yamagata and Hashiro making a stupid joke for everybody to laugh at. There's a lot of scenes where like they'll Yamagata and like Hashiro will make jokes, and like the whole crew will laugh. So I don't know. The finale I thought was a great episode. You had like a clever plan from the bad guys. You got to see our support machines fight, which there are episodes where they'll forget to use the support machines in the fight. Like they're supposed to, like, whenever, depending on where they're fighting, there's either land, sea, or air. There are episodes where like you would get at least one of them, but then one of the support machines to help fight. But then there are episodes where they completely forget they exist. Yeah, so I don't know, dude. I don't know. I love this. I love this series. I thought it was great. Again, it's like it's a 70s show, so you'll get like, you know, hair follicles. You'll get the little white spots from people like smoking. Well, yeah, apparently white spots on film is from cigarette burns or whatever. And sometimes you'll get dusty frames, but I don't know. If you don't mind 70s animation, and there are lots of times where they'll recycle animation. By the way, I forgot to mention that. Like every time the docking scenes, every time the Doki Maru will launch, like stuff like that, they'll recycle animation. There's even points where I don't know if I mentioned this. Oh, I didn't finish all the cons. Yeah, you have dated animation, hair follicles on frames. Pete Richardson, the American helmsman of the Doki Maru. At first, his eyes are brown like everybody else, but then like at a certain point, they remember, oh shit, he's supposed to be white. He's supposed to be American. So the halfway through the series or whatever, his eyes turn blue. Yeah. Zella has been. You find out Zella has been being sucked into a black hole for thousands of years. So for thousands of years, this planet has been getting sucked into a black hole, and like Emperor Darius has been planning on invading like Earth for like yeah, thousands of years. What took him so long when they have technology that allows them to instantaneously travel from Zella to Earth? I don't know. That was I think like whoever wrote that episode made a mistake, but yeah. They make the American character the most hateable one. Yeah, I forgot to mention that. Well, I think I kind of implied that. Not enough Bunta episodes. Oh, there's an episode where Hachiro, they're in a shootout with the Black Avion Corps, and Hachiro has a gun, and he straight up shoots and kills one of them, and nobody's like, what the fuck? Oh, and also there's a lot of times where like the enemy soldiers will be out of their mechs, and our main characters will be in their mechs, and they'll mercilessly kill the bad guys. Like there's an episode where like Hachiro just not Hachiro, Yamagata this like runs over people with the runs over the people with the Basilar, loses his missiles and everything. Yeah. So yeah, not enough Bunta episodes. Besides, you know, I actually ran out of space for all the cons, but yeah, I don't know. I thought this was still a cool series. I'm giving it a 6.5 out of 10. This is my first first review where I review an entire series. Give me a break, please. And if you like this review, like and subscribe. You know, leave a comment. Also, we're gonna let you guys vote on the next Mecha series we're gonna watch and review. The choices are Mazinger Z: The Impact, Giant Gorg, Go Shogun, Zubangle, Dunbine, Get a Robo the Armageddon, and that's about it. You guys, I'll give you guys a couple days to vote, but if you guys don't, if nobody comments to vote for what our next review shall be, I'll just pick a random one. I think I'll pick a 90s Super Robot show, since we already reviewed an 80s one and a 70s one. Yeah, that's all I gotta say for this review. Alright, peace guys.